Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. This is the weekend of August 26th. Hope everybody's having a good week, and hope everybody's enjoying the show. Hope you're checking it out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and Podbean. Hope everybody's following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all the social media sites. Just search Catch, Hook, Shoot. You'll be able to find the show. And one week removed from SummerSlam and NXT. A lot of stuff going on. Looks like some new storylines getting set up heading into the next big pay-per-view, which is going to be Survivor Series coming up in November. And so let's kick it right off here. First of all, with NXT Takeover, I'm gonna try to make this pretty quick today because I've got something special coming up a little bit later. Had one of my buddies come over for SummerSlam last weekend. We recorded some content for the show, just having some fun going through some of our all-time top 5 lists and a bunch of different categories. And like I said, just had some fun doing it. Hopefully you guys have fun listening to it and you enjoy. And as always, make sure leave questions, comments. What do you guys think of our lists and things like that? And as always, feel free to email the show at catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And so again, let's jump right in. NXT Takeover results here. We've got a new North American champion in Ricochet. Fantastic match with him and Adam Cole. Just tore the house down on that one. New women's champion in Kairi Sane. Defeated Shayna Baszler, but Baszler still, of course, came out looking very strong in the match. It was the way that the match ended. Basically, it was Shayna Baszler's own momentum that kind of allowed Kairi Sane to roll her up into the pin while she had her in the chokehold. Mm-hmm. So Baszler, she lost the title, but still came out looking very strong. Looking forward to seeing where the NXT Women's Division is going to go from here. So. Definitely going to get interesting in NXT. Velveteen Dream came out on top against EC3. Something really cool with that match, though. Dream had the words "Call me up, Vince" on the back of his tights. I thought that was pretty cool. There have been rumors going around that he is going to get called up to either Raw or SmackDown, and apparently he did that without prior knowledge of management, which it's definitely a ballsy move on his part, and I think it's gonna work in his favor. A lot of times, taking a chance like that, it can backfire on you, but I think in this case it's definitely gonna work in his favor. Would not be surprised to see him get called up sometime in the near future. Of course, the match of the night, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, last man standing for the NXT title. I was actually really surprised at the outcome of this one. I fully expected Gargano to come out with the title. Of course, that wasn't the case. Ciampa was able to get to his feet before Gargano at the end of the match and held on to the title. This has, of course, been the main event of the 3rd straight NXT Takeover. These two guys did not disappoint. Once again, match of the night, in my opinion, match of the weekend. Definitely stole the show, stole the weekend, in my opinion. Gotta wonder, is this the end of that rivalry, or are they going to try to carry it out more? The 3 matches that they've had, they've all been gimmick match of some sort. Of course, we had an unsanctioned match, then we had a street fight, then the last man standing match. Yet to see just a straight up wrestling match with these guys, which I would love to see. I'd love to see them carry it out to one more takeover. Make this one just a straight up wrestling match, maybe like a 2 out of 3 falls, just go real old school with it, which is the kind of rivalry that this is. Just make it a 2 out of 3 falls straight up wrestling match, and make that your big blow off. They could even put that on regular NXT TV on the network and just let that match take the full length of the show. Let these guys go in there and go for an hour. 2 out of 3 falls. Definitely would be a throwback, and I think it'd be entertaining as all hell. So we'll have to see where they go from there. Of course, I'm sure Aleister Black is going to be coming back as soon as he possibly can. He'll be back in the mix for the NXT title, unless they move him straight to the main roster when he comes back, kind of what they did with Drew McIntyre. after of course, after he lost the NXT title, he was injured. He was out for a few months, and when he came back, he was on Raw. So, wouldn't be surprised to see the same thing happen with Aleister Black. But I would definitely like to see him back in NXT just to get some closure on the title situation with him. But who knows how that's going to go. And also got to mention the NXT Tag Team title match with Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain. Just a phenomenal match to open the show. And I mean, these two teams are just amazing together in the ring. The chemistry on both sides is fantastic. And I would love to see these guys have a good long rivalry over the NXT title. So hopefully they'll let that one play out. And of course, WWE introduced the NXT UK Women's Championship this week. Posted a picture of the belt online. It's a nice looking belt. It's got the white strap like the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. The center plate kind of resembles Pete Dunne's WWE UK Championship. So yeah, I'm excited to see the NXT UK. Hopefully they'll be putting that up on the network. I know they're doing TV tapings and things like that, so I'm definitely excited to see that. Yeah, so moving on to SummerSlam. Of course, we got a new Intercontinental Champion in Seth Rollins. Defeated Dolph Ziggler. Of course, had Dean Ambrose in his corner. This one to me was the match of the night for SummerSlam. It was the opener, and it just made it. I think it made it really hard for anybody to follow after that. But of course, there were some other fantastic matches on that show. I just, in my opinion, this is the one that stole the show right off the bat, right out of the gate. Of course, Miz defeated Daniel Bryan with a little bit of help from Maurice and a set of brass knuckles that she handed him towards the end of the match. This one definitely not over, carried over into SmackDown, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Finn Balor did come out as the Demon, as I kind of predicted last week. Defeated Baron Corbin in less than 2 minutes. I like the way that they're using the Demon on the main roster. He's not coming out every single pay-per-view as the Demon. It's being used as kind of a special thing for him. When he really kind of has his back against the wall, which was the case with Corbin, constantly trying to screw him over and things like that. And of course, Corbin had to come out and complain on Raw. I thought I was wrestling Finn Balor, not the Demon. So I like where they're going with this storyline. And looks like it's going to probably continue for at least a little bit longer. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. Of course, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, as I don't think it was a surprise to anybody, had a phenomenal match. Samoa Joe won by disqualification. Of course, started running his mouth to AJ's family. AJ kind of lost it, snapped a little bit, attacked Joe with a chair, ending the match in a DQ. And again, as I said with this one, I think this is just the start to their rivalry, kind of like the AJ and Nakamura match at WrestleMania was just the beginning of their rivalry, and it built from there. I think the same thing's going to happen with Joe. I still stand by what I said, that Joe is eventually going to win the championship. I know I predicted he would win the title at SummerSlam. It wasn't the case. He won the match, but not the title. But I do see Samoa Joe as a WWE champion sooner rather than later. So I'm just guessing that this rivalry is going to be stretched out over at least 2 or 3 pay-per-views. So possibly all the way to Survivor Series. It wouldn't surprise me. We all know AJ and Joe can put on some of the best matches you're ever going to see. As far as SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte came out victorious. I know I predicted Becky Lynch for this one, but kind of surprising. We saw a Becky Lynch heel turn after the match, attacked Charlotte, and they're kind of going the route of it's my time, it's my turn, I'm getting screwed over. Kind of the sore loser route with Becky. I'm not sure how well it's going to work because the fans just they love Becky Lynch. They want to see her win, and they're behind her 100%. So not sure if the Becky heel angle is going to take with the fans. I'm not sure if she's going to get booed, but again, a rivalry with her and Charlotte really can't go wrong. I think Charlotte's a more natural heel, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them kind of switch that up at some point and Charlotte become the heel in this rivalry. But we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. On the Raw side of the women's division, of course, Ronda Rousey is the new Raw Women's Champion. Just pretty much dominated Alexa Bliss and not really a surprise there. Fans seem to love it. I think they're going to accept her as the Raw Women's Champion, and we'll have to see how this one plays out, especially after what happened on Raw on Monday night. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And of course, in the main event of the show for SummerSlam, we saw Roman Reigns come away finally with the Universal Championship, defeating Brock Lesnar. Now, interesting thing in this match was Braun Strowman coming out right at the beginning and saying he was going to cash in on the winner when the match was over. I actually think this was a smart move on the part of WWE to keep the fans interested, and more importantly, prevent them from trying to take over the show and overshadow the match, to keep them in the arena, frankly, because I think that kind of grabbed the fans' attention, and because I honestly believe, had they not done something like this with Reigns and Lesnar being the main event, you would have seen fans leaving. You would have heard a lot more chants than you did. I mean, of course, you heard the "you both suck" and that kind of thing. I think it would have been a lot worse had Strowman not come out and done that. Of course, he didn't get the chance to cash in. Lesnar beat him down and threw the briefcase all the way back to the entryway in the middle of the match. So it wasn't 100% clean victory for Roman. Which of course I'm sure that was by design to keep Brock looking strong with the distraction from Strowman. But Roman Reigns is the new Universal Champion, love him or hate him. That's the way it is. Of course, now moving on to Raw Monday night, going back to the women's division, Stephanie McMahon came out to the ring, had all of the female superstars around the ring, called Ronda Rousey out to basically present her with the title, more or less. And Ronda got right in her face, saying, you're trying to put yourself above all the rest of these women. You're trying to put me above all the rest of these women. That's not what it's all about. That kind of thing. Ronda's promo skills are definitely coming along. Then we saw Ronda, grab Stephanie, put her in the armbar once again, which, of course, was supported by all of the babyface superstars, and Stephanie was helped to the back by all the heel superstars. So I'm thinking they're going kind of along the lines of a Stone Cold Mr. McMahon route with Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon. So this, I think, is gonna be a lot of fun to watch it play out on this side of it. I don't think it's gonna be like a shot for shot replay of it, because it wouldn't work. Ronda Rousey's not the same type of superstar as Stone Cold, but I'm saying that's the angle it looks like they're going to pursue with it, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching it play out. And then, of course, that resulted in Kurt Angle being sent on quote-unquote vacation by Stephanie McMahon, saying that he can't keep the superstars under control and things like that. Now, the rumor circulating is that Angle is taking time off to train and get back into ring shape for a return to the ring. So if that's the case, I'd definitely be curious to see how that plays out. And I would think, the match he'd be put into, the most logical thing would be with Baron Corbin for Control of Raw, or something along those lines. Corbin has definitely come along a very long way since being moved over to Raw, and since being given the role of the constable, kind of Stephanie McMahon's representative, so to speak, and just changed up his image, changed up his look, and he's definitely moving into the more high profile picture. And I think a program with Kurt Angle would just elevate him that much more. So we'll have to see again how this one plays out, but I'm definitely excited to see Angle get back in the ring, if that rumor is true, that's why he's taking the time off. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And of course, the big news from Raw, we saw a reunion of the Shield. Braun Strowman had come out and said he planned on cashing in on Roman Reigns on Monday. Reigns was in the ring, Strowman came down, and of course we all heard the familiar Shield music hit, and Ambrose and Rollins came out in their full Shield gear and just beat down Braun Strowman. I really like this. It looks like they're taking the Shield back to being heels. But of course, I think they're going to be those cool heels that people are still going to cheer, and I think this is what Roman Reigns needs right now as the champion. He's going to end up being a heel champion, like it or not. Putting him back with Ambrose and Rollins to kind of protect the title and help him keep the title when he needs it, things like that. Kind of along the same idea as the Four Horsemen, or really any other faction where you've got the world champion as the leader of the faction. The rest of the guys are there to keep that title on him. So I really think that works. I think it was a great idea to pull the trigger on that so quickly after Ambrose came back. And another one I'm really excited to watch play out. It's going to be basically Braun Strowman against the Shield. And I think at some point you are going to see Braun Strowman as Universal Champion, but this is one that they could play out for, I would say, at least a good couple of months. So have to see where they go with this one. Moving on to SmackDown, of course, we've got new SmackDown Tag Team Champions in the New Day. Now, they did lose their Tag Team title match at SummerSlam, but apparently at SummerSlam, Eric Rowan was injured, suffered a torn bicep. So on SmackDown, it was the rematch, and the titles were dropped to the New Day. So apparently Eric Rowan's going to be out for a little while, letting that injury heal up. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. I think the Bludgeon Brothers were on just a really good roll. They were getting over with the crowd, and they're just a great tag team. They don't they don't have to say a whole lot. They're a couple of those guys that just kind of let their actions speak for them. They do cut pretty good promos. It works for the characters that they have. So hopefully it's not, hopefully Rowan's not going to be out too long, so they can come back and get back on that role that they were on. And obviously some more stuff played out with Becky and Charlotte. Becky came down to the ring, cut a decent heel promo. Kind of was trying to turn the crowd against her. It didn't work real well. Of course, she was talking down to the crowd, oh, who really supported me and things like that. But when WWE posted the video of that on their website, they of course left out any of the negative comments that Becky made about the crowd. So I'm hoping they're going to drop that part of it, because it's not going to work. The crowd is not going to turn on Becky, I don't think, even with her saying that kind of stuff. So hopefully by them leaving that portion of the promo out, it means they're not going to pursue that part of the angle with her and Charlotte. And had a really good pull apart fight with Becky and Charlotte. I think it's really cool seeing that kind of thing with the women. Normally you see that with the men a lot. Two guys that have a lot of heat getting a big brawl in the ring, and the GM comes out, waves out all the the male superstars, and they pull them apart, hold them apart, and things like that. Well, this time it was done with Becky and Charlotte, and I think it was done really well. I think it worked, and this is one that's gonna. It's Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. I don't see them having a bad match or a bad rivalry. Another interesting carryover from SummerSlam on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella have apparently, there's apparently been a match made, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice at Hell in a Cell. We saw that angle play out some more. Of course, The Miz and Maurice were in the ring, celebrating their victory, saying Daniel Bryan will never get another match against The Miz. And of course, Bryan came out, and when Maurice started running her mouth, here came Brie Bella, jumped in the ring. Maurice took off, but The Miz ended up catching a little bit of a beatdown from Brie Bella, which was pretty cool. And I think that's going to be a pretty good match with the four of them, along the same lines as Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. Apparently, Miz and Maurice have an issue with the entire Bella family, so I'm thinking the result's probably going to be pretty much the same. I expect Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella to pick up the victory in this one at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So we'll have to see how that plays out and how long this one plays out. If it's just going to be kind of a one-off, or if they're going to carry the Miz and Daniel Bryan further than that. A few other rumors going around this week. Now, this one really isn't a rumor. The last of the MMA Four Horsewomen have made their NXT house show debut alongside Shayna Baszler. Picked up a victory in a 6-person tag match, and from the The rumors floating around, they are going to start planting the seeds of the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen for the Survivor Series. Now, I'm not sure, so I would take that to mean that the Becky and Charlotte rivalry is not going to last too long. Supposedly, you're going to see the beginnings of this at the All Women's Pay-Per-View Evolution. That doesn't surprise me at all that they would use that as kind of the launching point for that rivalry. With Ronda Rousey having a title defense there. I'm sure Shayna Baszler is going to be there. Maybe that's where she gets her rematch with Kairi Sane. So I'm sure all 4 of the MMA horsewomen will be there, along with all 4 of the WWE horsewomen. So this one, I think, is going to get a lot of people excited because it's been something that people have been wanting for a couple of years since the rumors first started. I mean, they started planting the seeds of this quite a while ago. I want to say at least 2 years ago, if not more. So to see this one finally play out, I think is going to be huge. That could potentially could be your Survivor Series main event. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see that as the main event of the show. So we'll see where this one goes, how this one plays out. And last thing, read an interesting rumor that AJ Lee has been invited to be a part of Evolution in October, and that invitation came directly from Vince McMahon. And I did not see what, if anything, her response was, but I think it's pretty cool that Vince reached out to AJ personally. Now, of course, everybody knows AJ Lee is married to CM Punk. We know the history, with CM Punk in the WWE. He's pretty much disowned anything having to do with professional wrestling since he walked out of WWE a few years ago. So and AJ followed shortly thereafter. Of course, that's her husband. And with the legal issues going on between Punk and the WWE doctors for so long, she excuse me, she was pretty much caught in the middle of it, because as with WWE as her employer and Punk, of course, as her husband, it just could not have been a great situation for her to be in. But I would love to see her come back for Evolution if they're able to work out a deal. I think that would be awesome. I'd love to see like AJ Lee versus one of the newer female superstars, like maybe a Ruby Riott or something like that. I think it'd be an awesome match. Or even Alexa already has a match with Trish Stratus at Evolution, but you get my drift here. So I'm going to wrap it up right now. I'm going to cut to the video of me and my buddy Rich, who, like I said, just went through some of our favorite top fives of all time. Just a few different categories. I believe it was 8 different categories we went through, and just had a lot of fun doing it. Hopefully I'd love to have him come on the show again. Do some more of the same thing, or had some other ideas and stuff for him and I to do. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely want to try to get him back on. And wanted to want to give a quick shout out to a gentleman named Kevin Kellum. Ran into him last night. My wife and I just went out for a couple of drinks at our local bar here, and they were doing a comedy night. And he was one of the stand-up comics. He's also a radio DJ here in Chicago, and he works for WrestleZone. Real cool guy, funny as all hell. I was wearing a 4 Horsemen T-shirt. He spotted me as soon as we walked in the door. Threw up the 4 fingers, and did some wrestling themed stuff with his comedy set. Again, real cool guy. If you ever get the chance to see any of his comedy or anything like that, definitely check him out. If you're in Chicago, he is a weekend DJ on 101.1, and like I said, just real cool guy. Hoping to see him again at Starrcast this coming week. Of course, what else can be said about Starrcast and All In that has been said already? The biggest indie wrestling show / convention in history. I will be there all 4 days. Unfortunately, I'm not on Podcast Road. Just didn't have the budget to do it, but looking forward to being there, hanging out with the fans and things like that. And I've got a couple of photo ops lined up. It's just going to be a blast. It's going to be so much fun. And then, of course, All In next Saturday is going to be ridiculous. The matches that have been set up. So I'll be trying to post as much as I can next week as far as pictures, videos, things like that, and just general posts of what's going on, and if I'm lucky enough to bump into somebody, I can even just get a quick two or three word interview from. That's going to go up on all of my social media. So with that being said, I'm going to cut to this video here. Again, make sure you're checking out the podcast on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Shoot me an email at catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And hope everybody has a good week. And those of you coming to StarCast, if you happen to see me, make sure you say hi, give a shout, anything like that. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Anybody who's watching the YouTube video can see I'm not here by myself this time. This is my buddy for like 20 plus something years. This is Rich. We're going to talk some wrestling today. So say hello.
Hola, people. Hello, Internet. Wow. I just peed a little. Okay, seriously.
All right, so we're going to get down to it here. Now, if my editing skills are at all up to snuff here, you just heard me go over the results of SummerSlam, and I'm splicing this part in here because we're actually recording it as SummerSlam is going on. Just watching the kickoff show right now, looking at Jerry Lawler and Booker T and David Otunga and Renee Young. So what we're talking about today, we're just going to have some fun. We're going through a list of, and this is an idea that I kind of borrowed or ripped off from Busted Open Radio when they were going through their they were basically talking about the Mount Rushmores of wrestling that everybody likes to talk so much about these days, and they were going through different categories. I think Edge and Christian also did it on their podcast. So we're basically going to do the same thing. Way back when we used to sit around, drink, watch wrestling, and every now and then one of us would throw out, "Hey, give me your top 5 so and so." So we actually took some time and made some lists and some categories. So we're going to go through it and see how far we can get before this whole thing just flies off the rails and turns into a complete shit show.
Yes.
So, that being said, you're the guest, so where are we starting here?
Well, we're going to start with the, top 5 WWE wrestlers, performers, however you want to say. So, of course, you got to start with Hogan. I have Undertaker.
Interesting.
I have Stone Cold. I have the Brahma Bull, Dwayne.
Okay.
And then I have, unfortunately, John, you can't see me, Cena.
Now, why is that unfortunate? What's wrong with Cena?
There's nothing really wrong with Cena. It's just, I liked him, didn't like him, liked him, and it's just, he's had his run, and he was always he's just fun to make fun of and to dislike. That's really it. He's very talented in the ring. He's good on the mic, great on the mic, so there's nothing really wrong with Cena. I just,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Actually, surprisingly enough, my list is not that far off from yours. We're in sync, except for one guy, actually.
Okay.
Of course, I got Hogan. I mean, 80s WWE Hogan.
Yeah, he made it a worldwide company.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Him and Vince. But.
Big time. I got The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
The Great One.
Yes.
I have Austin. I also have Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my last guy, I actually don't have The Undertaker.
I'm so shocked. This thing is over. I am out. Hold up. He doesn't have the Taker. This motherfucker got a poster of the Taker. God damn. He got the Taker.
Sit down, drink your beer.
All right. Okay, who you got then?
My 5th guy, and actually if we're ordering these, I actually had him at number 2, as a matter of fact. Bruno Sammartino.
Okay.
Because he was, not the first WWE champion, WWF champion, if we're being precise here. But, he had the 8-year title run. He was, throughout the 60s and 70s, he was it. He's the one that sold out Madison Square Garden however many hundreds of times.
This is true. I can agree with that.
So, I mean, as much as, how much I love Taker, as much as I want him to be on that list, that just, Bruno's got to be there.
Okay, I can respect that. I see no issue with that. it was hard for me not to put, I thought of him. He definitely crossed my mind, but I was just like, okay, which guys to me worldwide? I mean, Bruno wrestled around the world, but in the day and age of television and that where WWE, WWF really exploded, it was these guys that made it. Of course, they're going off the shoulders of Bruno.
Right.
Of course, give all respect to that. But it's kind of like the whole, in any sport, anything you can, people argue now Jordan and LeBron. You can argue, people Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds. It's just as it gets further away from certain time periods, I think, it's not that they don't belong up there, but it's like, okay, they, put a different face up there.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. I'm honestly surprised you didn't name Macho Man.
It crossed my mind, but, really his contribution compared to the other four, not that it's not great, again, it's just I think they hit that, to Taker a phenom status is what they've done. So.
Okay, yeah, because I actually debated with putting Bret Hart on that list, too, for WWE. And, I mean, if you're going top 10, yeah, Taker, Macho, Bret Hart easily go in there along with Shawn Michaels. And,
yes.
But we're going straight top 5. You got to pick the 5 biggest stars in WWE history for me, and that's, who
and I can agree with Bruno. I can't fault you. I don't see no argument there. Not bad. Starting off pretty good here.
Cool.
Do you want to go to a topic?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So that was WWE. Yeah. Why don't we roll into WCW?
Okay, real quick. See how professional he is with a clipboard, and I got a little piece of paper. Yeah, professional.
Yeah.
All right, WCW. You go ahead. You can start off with this one.
Okay, well, WCW. Now, keep in mind this is WCW, so from mid '90s on. I'm not talking about the NWA. I'm not talking about Crockett Promotions. Talking about strictly WCW, basically from Eric Bischoff on, or from the time Ted Turner purchased Crockett Promotions on.
Okay, all right, that's gonna mess up my list a little bit because growing up I always associate WCW with NWA and that type of South region promotion.
That's okay. I mean,
but the names still, if you're going
I'm sure a lot of the names are going to be the same.
Yeah. So,
but just to kind of give an idea of why I have some of these particular names and I don't have others. So, I'll say right off the bat, Dusty Rhodes is not on my list.
Okay.
Because he was big in Crockett Promotions. He was big in the NWA. When it became WCW, he was more behind the scenes guy.
Yes. Yeah, then go ahead. Do your thing, man.
So, obviously, first and foremost, WCW, you got to say Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
What they call, they acknowledge 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. He's actually won and lost the world title 24 times. But some of them are not recognized for whatever reason. Then, of course, again, WCW, you got to talk about Sting.
Yeah, that's a given. I mean, he's stuck through everything. Mm-hmm. It took a long time for him to finally do something, and then he went to TNA, which was basically
the successor of WCW.
And it took a long time to get him up north here, WWE. So yeah, Sting is definitely a cornerstone. I mean, he is. I mean, you could think of him with the buzz cut and the yellow hair, or then when he became the Crow character. Mm-hmm. That's WCW. That was one of the reasons why I would watch WCW was because I knew they had something WWE didn't, which was Sting.
Yeah, exactly. Now this next one, and I'm kind of repeating myself here, Hulk Hogan. I mean, because you figure he went into WCW in '94, instantly became champion, and then he kind of started to fade a little bit. The fans kind of started to turn on him a little bit. And what did he do? NWO, and completely changed the whole freaking game again.
Yeah.
So you figure he made wrestling in the 80s, and he remade it in the mid-90s.
This is very true. I never would have thought of that one.
And another guy that I've always associated with WCW, kind of, went from basically nothing as a pretty much a jobber, enhancement talent, whatever you want to call it, to being one of the top guys, Diamond Dallas Page.
Very good, very good.
Was a 3-time world champion. He was the U.S. champion, tag team champion. Pretty much held every belt that there was to hold in WCW, and was another one that was like a cornerstone of WCW up until the very end.
Yeah, he was definitely the one during that NWO run that he wasn't an NWO guy that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it was like, I want to see the NWO. But then it was like, oh, DDP's on. I got to see that.
Right.
Very good performer. Is that your 5?
No, I got one more. Last guy for me for WCW, and this one I think a lot of people may disagree with, but when you look at what he did in WCW and how huge he got in a very short period of time, it's Bill Goldberg.
Ah, man. See, I knew you'd bring enlightenment to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because with the whole win streak and just the way that the crowd reacted for him, the Goldberg, even though I found out in later years a lot of that was piped in.
Oh, well, I was gonna say cold beer.
But yeah, and he again became like pretty much the face of the company. He was right up there with Hogan and the NWO at that time, and like I said, just became very huge in a short period of time for him.
That is damn true. He was, again, that was the thing, is like he was coming out, you had to run to the TV, flip back from USA to TNT to catch Goldberg or NWO and stuff. See, again, I knew you'd have names that I really didn't think about in my perspective. WCW, of course, Sting. I have Flair.
Okay.
I have DDP.
Okay.
Now some of my categories I got like little parentheses. I have some other people, like a little top five, because I'm not as sure sometimes with my wrestling knowledge as I am of the genius here. I had Dusty because to me he represented South and WCW was South. And you're right, he was. I knew like when it was WCW he was behind the scenes. He had a little bit with the NWO. He really wasn't a performer. He was.
Right.
But to me, I think WCW. I think South. So to me, I had him there. But with your logic, I'm like, okay, I can scratch him off. Someone else I have is Lex Luger.
Yeah, I toyed around with the idea of putting him on there.
I mean, to me, again, he's like, he had his run in WWE, but to me, he's WCW. He's a South guy.
Oh, yeah.
His matches, I mean, he wasn't the best, but he was a performer. And, he had some, think about matches with him and Sting. He had stuff with Flair. He put the work in. Two more things. I have the Steiner brothers.
Okay.
To me, again, they represent the WCW work, the style, the matches, not the over-the-top WWE thing. Even though they had their little run and they had the neon freaking tights and stuff, to me, they're WCW. And one other name real quick I got to say is Arn Anderson.
Yeah, that's another one that I toyed around with putting on there. But again, he
was on a decline during that Bischoff time. That was kind
of towards the end of his career. I mean, well, when it first became WCW, he was still an active wrestler. The Horsemen, and he was part of Paulie Dangerously's group, the Dangerous Alliance, which, honestly, the more that I've looked at that, and this is something that, like, Conrad Thompson and Tony Schiavone talk about on their podcast, or have a number of times, the Dangerous Alliance was really a great freaking faction. They were stuck in the shadow of the Four Horsemen. Yeah. Because if you look at the guys that were in the Dangerous Alliance, you got Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's
Bobby Eaton. I mean,
that could have been something, but the company had to go with the money, and the money was the Horsemen.
Well, even after the Horsemen, like when Flair went to WWE for a little while there, and there was no Horsemen, it was still everybody wanted the Horsemen. Even though they had the Dangerous Alliance, it was such a great group of guys, but it's like they never got out from under that shadow, especially with with Paul E being the manager and the kind of mastermind of it. It's like that could have been a huge group. But, then Steve Austin got the FedEx letter saying, you're done.
Yeah. Good job, Bischoff.
And, same thing with Paul E. He was out of there, and then look what happened. Austin became the biggest superstar in the history of the WWE, and Paul E. started ECW.
Yeah, kind of worked out for him, I'd say.
Yeah. So, that's your 5?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like 7 because you made me rethink the Dusty thing. I just, again, the way I think of South Wrestling, NWA, WCW, it's like kind of like a tandem type thing to me. The way I put it in my,
Well, yeah, because like when I did mine, I mean, I had a separate category for the NWA / territories.
Yeah.
Because I actually made all of the categories.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
So for like
you sick fuck.
For like the NWA categories, I got Dusty, I got Flair, Magnum TA, Jerry Lawler, and Kerry Von Erich.
Okay.
Those are my territory guys.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't include like Dusty and Magnum, in the WCW. Well, Magnum never was part of WCW.
Oh, excuse me. Ooh, I hope that don't come out on. God love it.
All right, so where are we going next here?
Let's try. Let's go Intercontinental Champion.
Oh, alrighty then. All right, IC champ.
Okay, brother. Jericho. Okay.
Definitely agree with that, especially since he's now the New Japan Intercontinental Champion.
Yes, yeah. This guy is still kicking ass, and he's like, I think he's very underrated. And even if not, he's underrated, but it's like I don't think people give him the respect. Like he's not put up there sometimes. And I know he's been world champion numerous times, and he's done great things. But him as IC champ, and he's been 9-time IC champ.
9-time WWE, and now 1-time IWGP.
Yeah, so it's like. And that's like usually that used to be the second biggest belt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you were the second biggest star in the company, and he's always been there. He's left and come back, and even his time in WCW when, like, say he was, I know he was U.S. champ, and just the amount of belts he's held. But this IC champ to me, I could see Jericho he's like a face. Like Jericho fits that mold. Not that he doesn't fit world championship mold, but he fits that mold of that under guy. And to me, IC champ has always been kind of a heel to me.
Yeah. I
feel like it's a heel category, and he does that so well.
Yeah, it's definitely been more of a heel-associated belt.
I got to also go with Honky Tonk.
Okay, I can see that.
And that's because he held the title, just for that record. Mm-hmm. And he put that, I don't know, to me, like when that explosion in the 80s of wrestling, and him having that belt for as long as he did, kind of set the tone for that belt and what was going to happen after. And it's a legacy, I think, that carries on from him with the worldwide popularity. I know it came out before that and everything like that, but I think there's something about his character and the way he portrayed it, and the little slimy champion, not really getting, not getting clean wins ever.
Oh yeah, he was a classic heel champion.
Yeah, so I give him the credit, and also it's Elvis. Like I like very much. I'm gonna go with one of my favorites, Scott Hall.
Yes.
Classic ladder matches with HBK, and he was kind of the heel, but he kind of also was the good guy. Mm-hmm. He kind of played the role. And at the time there in the early 90s, his look, his style, what he did, to me just stands out as IC champ. Then I got Bret Hart.
Oh, okay. Kind of a surprise there.
Yeah, I for some reason, to me, again, when I think of Intercontinental champions, and at the time frame, I see Bret Hart as being that number 2 guy. Like, not that he wasn't a great champion, one of the greatest of all time, but just the picture of him with an IC belt and the matches he's done with that title, and just being, I don't know, man, it just fits to me.
Yeah.
Seeing him. And finally, I got The Miz.
I'm actually surprised to hear you say that one.
I got The Miz. I think The Miz is, I've always kind of liked the character when he's the whole I'm awesome thing. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people know that. Like, I think he's entertaining. I think he's gotten really, his performances in the ring have improved all the years he's been there. His mic skills have always been on point. And again, just the sliminess that he portrays. Mm-hmm. And it just works. So I could just see him walking around with the IC belt and not have a problem with it. All those guys have an IC belt in their careers. They epitomized to me what IC champ was.
Yeah, and the thing with The Miz, and I've said this like multiple times over the last couple of weeks on the show, The Miz is the best heel in the company right now.
Oh, God, easily.
Yeah, just because he's one of those, he just has that, or portrays that just utter contempt for the audience. But the audience, they want to love him so bad because he can have them eating out of his hand 1 minute, and then he'll say something about the town and totally just cut him down.
Yeah, he's an old school heel in a way, but yeah, he carries it, and he's another person I think, who knows when he finally retires. I think he'll end up Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely. All right, so top 5 IC champs, I got Chris Jericho.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's too much more we can say about that. He, to me, the best IC champ of all time, whether it's WWE or New Japan, whatever. Then I got, and I'm kind of surprised you didn't say this one, Randy Savage.
No, again, I'm wearing a shirt. I held off on Macho, because I know, again, we all talk about WrestleMania 3, his match with the Dragon, phenomenal. But again, I knew it was like a stepping stone for him.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what the IC title always was for a long time there. It was, you held the IC title and eventually you were going to end up being the man.
Yes.
So, But yeah, just Savage, just because that to me, like when I was a kid, he was the first Intercontinental Champion I saw, and so that's first thing that pops in my head. I hear Intercontinental Champion, I see that picture of Macho Man. He never wore the belt; he always carried it.
Yeah, that is true.
And him and Elizabeth, and what was it? I think it was the first match or second match of WrestleMania 2. The first WrestleMania I watched was him and George the Animal Steel.
Oh, I remember that. Yes,
for the IC title. So yeah, that was I definitely got to put Savage in there.
Yeah.
I also have Scott Hall. First 5-time Intercontinental Champion, and like you said, the ladder matches with the next guy on my list, Shawn Michaels. Again, for the same reason, he was a great heel champion when he held the IC belt most of the time. And, the matches between him and Diesel, him in the ladder matches with Scott Hall.
Oh, man, you just made me think of another wrestler, which I'm pretty sure is going to end up on your list. Go ahead.
What, on this list?
On your IC, do you got another one?
Yeah, I got one more, but no, and I also got The Miz.
Oh, you have The Miz, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, because I just thought of someone and I didn't really think about now that, like, damn it, I feel bad I didn't think of this person. Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, I considered him. I mean, that, yeah, I mean, he was in, WCW, I think. I don't think he was in WCW longer, but that's more what I remember him for, unfortunately, because I think he was better in WWE. Mm-hmm. But it's like you figure the last time you saw Mr. Perfect, really, I mean, he went back to WWE after WCW, but and maybe it's just because I've been watching all the Nitros back now. What I'm seeing, so yeah, no, I honestly I didn't think about him because I'd forgotten about him being the IC champ.
Yeah, I just when you said about like being a kid, and I remember there in the late '80s, like he kind of him and Hogan had a few matches. Again, watching Hogan, everyone watched Hogan matches. But Perfect, now you look at different things, and it's like, yeah, man, he could be up there for IC champ to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like he held the title long or was champion that how many times it was, but just his performance and his contempt for the crowd too.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was great.
Yeah, and just the arrogant, cocky heel, slapping the gum, and
yeah.
I always wondered, who did that land on? Did it ever land in somebody's hair?
I never thought of that because I was always like, fuck the people. But that is great. I really wonder if somebody's got a story out there online like, yeah, I got Mr. Perfect's gum in my hair and I've been bald since. Yeah, I know the feeling.
And if it did they like cut the lock of hair out and put it in like a glass case? Mr. Perfect, this is Mr. Perfect's spit.
And did they clone him?
Yeah. Maybe that's where Curtis Axel came from.
Nah, because he ain't. Cool. So let's see here. I did IC, so good. Your next one, sir.
All right, let's go with tag teams.
Man, I kind of had a rough one with this one, but go ahead, sir. Tag teams.
All right, so tag teams for me. Number one, greatest tag team of all time. Probably not who you're thinking I'm going to say. The Dudley Boys.
No, I can see that without a doubt.
Like 24-time World Tag Team Champions between ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, New Japan. I mean, that it speaks for itself. They've held every title in the freaking world that means anything. I mean, yes, they held the WCW tag titles while in WWE. They never wrestled in WCW, but it still counts.
Yeah,
it's counted as a WCW title reign. So I just don't think you can argue the Dudley Boys to me, just based on that, and first original ECW guys to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Bubba Ray Dudley is in the WWE and the TNA Hall of Fame. Or, no, as a team, they're in both.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, that just right there.
Can't fault that.
Got to put them at the top. Very close second for me, though, is Road Warriors.
Yeah? Oh, yes.
I mean, first guys to ever hold the WWE, NWA, and AWA tag team titles back in the day.
I can remember being a youngin' and picking up, like, I don't know if it was Pro Wrestling Magazine or exactly what the publication was called, and they had the stats of them, their height, their weight, their bench, their reps, and all the different things they were doing.
Oh, yeah, I had that one.
And looking at that and thinking, like, this is amazing, and then finding them on TV and thinking, like, I've never seen tag teams like this. You never seen these guys just mauling people, but technically sound and doing high flying as large as they were.
Oh yeah, like the Doomsday Device was one of the greatest tag team finishers ever, man.
It's insane. Yeah, what they did for the business, even the culture of wrestling. How I think, again, my limited knowledge, they popularized the face painting in an essence. In that boom in the 80s, it's like all of a sudden everyone looked like the Road Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, or Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, because, you figured after that, you had Demolition come along. You had the Powers of Pain come along. You could keep pretty much anybody who wears face paint.
Yeah, face paint and spikes.
Yeah.
It was because of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, moving on. We got the Steiner Brothers.
Okay.
Again, guys that have held the NWA, WCW, IWGP, WWE, NWA United States Tag Team titles. I mean, at one point they held the NWA World Tag Team titles, the US Tag Team titles, and the IWGP Tag Team titles at the same time.
That's a schedule conflict right there. I can see, where the hell they wrestle.
Yeah, I don't think it lasted a real long time, but
still, it's the fact they were, of course, in that business, they're given the titles because they feel they can carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
So for it to be given that responsibility and to live up to it, I mean, it's
so
the Frankensteiner. Come on.
Yeah, Frankensteiner was always a cool move, and Scotty Steiner still does it.
Man.
Off the top rope.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he's like pushing 60.
I feel like he's,
I know he's in his 50s. He owns a Shoney's somewhere in Georgia.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Try the ham cubes. Oh, yeah, shout out to Conrad Thompson for that one. Next one I got is, this one may surprise you a little bit, Edge and Christian.
Man, I went over the 90s teams like that.
Just because, the number of times that they held the tag team titles, I mean, individually, Edge as an individual, I want to say, has held the tag titles 10 times plus.
Yeah, well.
And also, interestingly enough, Edge, the only guy ever to hold tag titles with Hulk Hogan. But no, Edge and Christian, just with the TLC matches and, the Brood thing, which was the coolest freaking gimmick of the Attitude Era, even though it only lasted 8-9 months.
The thing about Edge and Christian for me, there was always those great TLC matches we would watch on all the pay-per-views, and it's that was a team no one really wanted to win, but they always seemed to win.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was with the Hardys, with the Dudleys, with of course I know I'm missing tons of names, but it always seemed like Edge and Christian would sneak in and get a victory. Mm-hmm. They'd have they'd have a big pop, they'd disappear, other things go on, they slide in, get the victory, and it was always God damn it, they won again.
Yeah,
fucking Canadians.
And they were great heels, man. Again.
Yeah, there you go. That's why
they could just annoy the shit out of any crowd, especially with their little 5-second poses. But and still, even today, man, I listen to their podcast literally every week just because it's freaking hilarious. I love those guys.
Yeah, no, that their chemistry for plus 20 years has worked well. And, being older now and looking back and thinking about things why they did their jobs. They got me animated at the match because of them. Now I'm oh, okay, I can applaud him. But back in the day, it was again, Yeah,
and then even, look at their individual careers. They've both been world champion. They were both IC champ, tag champs. I think they actually held the WCW tag titles when they were in WWE.
Yeah,
for a stretch there.
And Christian's had a nice run in TNA as well.
Yeah, he's been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I think he was was he the first TNA champion after they split with the NWA? I don't remember off the top of my head, but yes, individually they've had great careers, and together they, like I said, one of my all-time favorite teams.
Cool, I can respect it.
And then the last one on my list is another one I think is going to kind of throw you for a loop here. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. The Brainbusters.
That is very, very interesting.
Just because in the ring, there's nobody, except for maybe the Hart Foundation, there's nobody that can touch them for in-ring skill.
This is hilarious.
All right.
Because, I have the Brainbusters on my list.
Sweet.
Because of that, I remember them they were just so sound in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable to watch their matches. And this is, of course, they were in WWF.
Yeah.
This is what I know them from. And that's just great. I can't believe that you have them, because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna bring this up, and I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna feel it. I know he likes the wrestlers, he knows about them, but I can remember just watching the matches and being like, I've never seen a tag team work like this, and what they were doing, and how the in-ring chemistry, and how they would just demolish one opponent, and it was just great. And then they had Bobby Heenan on the outside, which was always good.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the NWA, I mean, of course, obviously they were original members of the Horsemen, so they had J.J. Dillon with them all the time. And there's another team. They were the NWA Tag Team Champions, and they were the WWE Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of teams that have ever done that, and I think I named all of them actually.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yes, I had the Brain Busters. And again, that was a hard one for me to put, because I was just like, man, I was afraid you're gonna be like, really, you're gonna put them like as a tag team? Like, no, but of course I got the Dudleys, Steiners,
yeah,
Road Warriors.
Okay,
I mean, it's par for course. So that's the 4, and then I threw on at the end. This isn't my actual 5th one, but I had the Hart Foundation.
Okay.
Just because, again, they were technical. They were the heels. They always seemed to come up with a victory. And for the time that they were the tag team, it's like they were the tag team, even though Demolition was running around. But it seemed like the Hart Foundation was, you knew they were the better team.
Oh yeah, the Hart Foundation, for their time in WWE, they were, whether they had the belts or not, they were the top team always.
Yeah, I mean, and they stood out. They wore pink and black.
Yeah,
that stood out. So it was like, what is this? And yeah, and I mean, Hart and Neidhart, it worked well. You had the clean-shaven guy, the guy with the crazy beard, acting crazy, the calm, cool guy with the shades. It worked. I put them on as a throw-in, but the other team that I have on here is just a personal favorite, the Outsiders.
I knew you'd have them on there.
Yeah.
Which I got no argument with that. I mean, as a team, and you got to think too, they really were not a team all that long.
No,
they started as an actual everyday tag team in WCW.
Yeah.
In '96. So, and then by what was it, '98?
Yeah, it
was pretty much done.
Yeah, they had a little run. And it's just like, to me, again, that's a personal favorite thing. But I just think you take those two gentlemen with, their charisma, what they can do with the crowd, and their moves. They were big moves.
Oh yeah,
they did. So it was like a big pop. It wasn't just a little like, okay, they put you in an arm bar, but then it would transfer to something, a sidewalk slam or whatever it may be. And it was just fun. It's like that. I think of them. I think of mid-90s. Wrestling's exciting again. They're just two cool guys walking down to the ring.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a drink with that dude. No homo.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people would have. I'm sure this, I think, is probably the one category you could probably have the biggest, longest argument with people about, because there's going to be people that say, what about the Rock and Roll Express? What about the Midnight Express? What about the Freebirds?
I'm surprised you didn't have any of those. I was expecting that.
And, again, if we were going top 10, I'd have had the Hart Foundation in there. I'd have had the Rock and Roll and Midnight Express and stuff like that. But, just top 5, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's why, again, I'm very happy that I had the Brainbusters and that you did as well. That makes me feel good about my suggestions and my thought process maybe on this business of wrestling. Cool.
All right, so where are we going from here? We've done WWE, WCW, IC Champ, and tag teams.
Let's. You want to go finishers?
Yeah. Let's do that here.
All right. So that'd be on you, sir.
I started the last one.
The beer's taking hold. All right, finishers. In no particular order. Sweet chin music.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, fuck yeah, you knew damn well, man. And I'm pretty sure you know all of mine.
Probably.
Yeah. Razor's Outsider's Edge. The Jackknife. Jake the Snake's DDT.
I was going to say, can you name somebody outside the clique?
Okay, and then okay, yeah. So we got Jake's DDT, and then we got the RKO.
Okay. All right, RKO, Diamond Cutter.
Yeah, I just think the way Randy Orton he's made it a much more athletic thing. DDP did it, but it seemed a little clunky. It wasn't as smooth. He wouldn't do the variations.
Well, DDP did a lot of variations with it. He'd go from the fireman's carry, he'd go off the ropes, he'd catch guys out of nowhere. But I get what you're saying. Randy Orton has taken it to another level.
Randy Orton's more athletic, and it looks smoother the way he does it.
Orton, definitely gets like more air when he goes. He jumps a lot higher than DDP used to. So yeah, I definitely see that.
And it's a cultural thing now. RKO out of nowhere, people make videos and shit. It's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
Jake's DDT. It's just legendary to me. Again, if you got hit with it, you were done. People knew that. Yeah, and now I kind of hate now that a DDT is just like kind of like a secondary move. Everybody throws a damn DDT. Everything became a secondary move. Power bombs are secondary moves now.
And it's like, go back and watch Saturday night's main event where Ricky Steamboat got DDT'd on a freaking floor. He was out for like 3 months.
Yeah, you can't.
Now it's like the guy gets DDT'd on the steel steps and he's up, doing a freaking
frog
suicide
splash,
dive and shit.
And finishers have been dubbed down so much, and trying to get the crowd into it that like each match has 5 to 8 finishers and shit. It seems like, and it's a little crazy because before, if you got hit with the finisher, unless you were another top tier guy, you might kick out. Yeah. Depending on the stage you were on, but normally you got hit with one finisher, you were done.
Oh yeah.
Hell, a chokeslam was a finisher.
Yeah.
And now somebody does a chokeslam, it's like, all right, bro, I'm up. What's up? What you got?
Yeah, pretty much. I think, not enough emphasis is put on finishers anymore.
No. And real quick to shout out when I was talking about HBK, because it's quick. It's nothing special, but it's just a quick kick. And I know, who was it? Davey Boy Smith used to do... No, not Davey Boy Smith.
Chris Adams.
Yeah. Used to do the kick. But the way Shawn Michaels... Because as he became a top tier, the top guy, for him to have just a kick... Mm-hmm. And the way he did it, you just knew, again, it'd come out of nowhere. Bam!
Yeah, and it became like more, he had more theatrics with it, the standing in the corner, stomping the foot and stuff like that.
And let's not forget him saying, I'm sorry to Ric Flair, I love you, and then kicking him in the face.
Oh, yeah, that was great. I'm sorry, I love you, now I'm going to kick your head off.
Yeah, so... Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you kind of knew mine was kind of predictable.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can predict some of mine. I mean, I'm a submission guy.
Yes.
So, first on my list...
He likes torturing people.
First on my list, figure 4 leg lock.
Oh, God. Figure 4!
Yeah, it's a great move. It's still a great move. I mean, it was something that was used as far back as anybody can remember in wrestling and something that's still used today. Of course, with Charlotte Flair taking it to another level, calling it the figure 8 with the bridge and stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, no, okay.
I wish the Miz would have kept using it after
he got the little...
Flair kind of handed it off to him.
He gave him the little, like, hey, go with it, homie, and it's like, I was like, oh, cool, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and then another one, the sharpshooter, or scorpion deathlock, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the same move, but Sting did it first. But again, it's not one you see a whole lot anymore. You'd see The Rock use it here and there for a while.
Horribly at the beginning, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, he put it on horribly, but he got better with it as time went on.
Oh, yeah, and he actually, got a couple submissions with it there at one point. But, you'll see Natalya do it now, and that's really about it. You don't see a lot of people using a sharpshooter or scorpion deathlock anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, submission moves now... Actually, submission moves have gotten a lot simpler. I've noticed it's an arm bar.
Yeah.
Or, the calf crusher for AJ.
Well, you gotta... I think you attribute that to...
I attribute that to the popularity of MMA.
Yeah, because now fans understand these moves don't really hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the figure 4, you could easily really break somebody's leg with it.
Well, yeah, any of these moves, you're bending someone's leg, even a sharpshooter or scorpion deathlock.
But I think because of MMA, you got to kind of make it look like something you can throw on quickly. Because realistically, somebody's not going to lay there and let you put a figure 4 on them.
No.
Unless they're unconscious.
Yeah, and then it doesn't matter, the match is mute, boom.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of been the evolution of submission holds the last, I don't know.
And it's a damn shame.
10, 20 years, whatever. Let's see, where was I at here? Okay, now we're getting into the impact moves here. Powerbomb. Can't argue with a powerbomb. My favorite with the powerbomb, though, has always been Vader.
Okay.
Just because his size, his sheer mass, and the way he would... Because Nash, with the jackknife, he'd just kind of lift them up and let them fall.
Yeah.
That was his way of doing it. Vader, he would pick them up and drive them into the mat. I mean, the first time I really remember seeing a powerbomb on TV. It was Vader doing that to Cactus Jack on the floor.
Oh, God.
Not in the ring, on the floor.
When they had the mats that were like this thick?
Yeah, I don't even know if they had
or if they pulled the
time.
mats away. I think I might know what match you're talking about, honestly. I remember seeing that thing like, God damn!
Yeah, and it just looked like Cactus Jack was dead.
And a move like the powerbomb should kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely.
Not really, no one should die, I'm sorry.
Then next one on my list, another one of yours, DDT. I mean, I've always loved the DDT. Jake has always been one of my favorite guys, and like I said, I hate that it's become like a transitional move now, or something that's just used in the middle of a match.
Speaking of the DDT, of course, Jake, top dog. Who else, real quick, if I may segue, like, who else had really good DDTs to you?
Arn Anderson.
Bam, good call.
Hey, to me, he was the second best out of any of them. You know who has a good DDT that I like a lot? Surprisingly enough, because I'm not a big fan of this guy, is Andrade Cien Almas, the guy that was on the pre-show a little earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he does a hammerlock DDT.
Okay.
So he'll have the guy's arm behind like this, so he'll be holding, he'll have the face lock on him and have the hammer lock locked in and drop with
Oh,
him.
nice.
And Dean Ambrose isn't bad either. He does like the double underhook, kind of like Cactus Jack used to do.
That's funny. I never really liked Cactus Jack. I never liked the double underhook DDT. I wasn't a fan of it. Every time I always wanted them to suplex them over or do something else.
Or Drew McIntyre has a really good one.
Okay.
I forgot what he calls it, the Future Shock or something like that, where he like drops all the way to his back with them, and like it looks like he's gonna put him in a dragon sleeper and like wrap his legs around him because that's the way he falls with the guy.
Oh. And
it just looks like the intensity that he hits it with. It's like it's really high impact. So it just looks good. And I think that's, probably the most important part about a finisher is that it looks good.
Yes.
And then last one on my list, again, agreeing with you, super kick.
All right.
A gentleman, Chris Adams, who trained Stone Cold and then Stone Cold married his wife.
I'll just sip my beer on that one.
But yeah, no, the super kick I always thought was a cool move. And honestly, the best finishers, and this is something that Edge and Christian have talked about a lot on their show, is, it looks good, and it can be put on anybody.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to see Rey Mysterio powerbomb the Big Show.
No, that is true. I didn't think about that putting that into my...
But, I mean, I included powerbomb in mine just because it's a cool finishing move. But, yeah, the best finishers are, like, the super kick. You can super kick you can kick anybody in the face.
You can DDT anybody.
You can DDT pretty much anybody. The figure four within reason.
Yeah, there's some of the larger guys, like Yokozuna would never have been put in the figure four.
Yeah, no. Not with those tree trunks.
Nah, no, that ain't happening. Yeah, finishers...
Like actually Christian's finisher was one of those type of moves that I never liked the look of it personally, but the unprettier where he kind of grabs them, turns them around, drops them on their face.
It's like it to me it looked like the double underhook DDT, but like fancied up.
Yeah.
In an essence, and the quicker to move, the better. Cool. Yeah, that's finishers brought to you by Turtle Wax. Finish your car off nice. I don't know. Sorry.
All right, so let's go to how about baby faces?
I didn't have that written up.
Oh, that's right.
But that's okay. Sorry. But I can wing it if you really want to.
No, you know what? We can go on to something else here. Just let's see. We did WCW, WWE tag teams. Did IC champ. We did finishers. Let's go for world champ.
All right, this one's gonna be interesting. All right, sir. All
right, so number one for me, I think it's pretty obvious. Guy that's held the world title more than anybody else, Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Can't argue. What I say, 24 times world heavyweight champion if you're going by the unofficial total.
16 recognized, correct?
Yeah, 16 recognized, 24 actual, has won and lost the title 24 times.
Yeah, you can't deny what he's done.
Yeah, and just, you got to remember too, the world champion, even though it's not a competitive sport, if they put the world title on you, that means they have enough faith in you and enough trust in you to say, we're making you the face of this company. Whoever the promoter or the booker or the owner is saying, you're our guy.
You're going to be, at the end of the show, you're going to come out, and if the rest of the show had sucked, we got faith in you that you're going to make the show.
Exactly.
People got their money worth because you were here and you performed.
Exactly.
So here's this gold belt. Go out there and do your freaking thing. 6 nights out of the freaking week.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Back in the day, Ric Flair, that's when they were on the road 300 days a year because the champion had to be a traveling champion. He had to travel to all those NWA territories all over the freaking world, literally.
Yeah.
Japan and Europe and Australia and wherever, and
Canada,
all across the U.S.
Yeah, he
had to defend that belt in every single NWA affiliated territory on a monthly basis. He had to hit all these territories, so
yeah. And it's like you said, it was put on you because the company believed, first off, you could make them money, but also that you made them look good and you did your job. So it's like you're not going to disappoint a crowd. World champions, it could be a crowd of 100 people in a school gymnasium to a WrestleMania crowd of 100,000 or whatever it may be. They are given that shot because of their ability and their work ethic. So,
exactly.
And yeah, world champions have to have a work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Flair, cool.
Yep, which brings me to my second guy. Speaking of work ethic, Bruno Sammartino. World champion, 8 years. Between his 2 reigns, he was champion for over 11 years total in 2 title reigns. That's unheard of. Will never be done again.
No.
John Cena's been champion 16 times. If you add it all up, it probably doesn't equal out to 5 years.
No, yeah, I can't.
He's been a world champion 16 times in a span of 15 years, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No, hell no.
That's phenomenal. But, Bruno, he is the man who started basically WWE, or back in the day, WWF, and, held that title, sold out Madison Square Garden however many hundreds of times. So, yeah, he was the man.
Yeah, that's who you went to see back in the day.
Yeah, if there was a WWE card at the Garden, you knew Bruno was headlining, you knew he was going to sell out.
Yeah. He was another one. If I'm not mistaken, he went around the world. He wrestled in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
He did this. He was doing this stuff beforehand. Imagine doing that in the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling the world and being the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the one that brought the WWF up to that national level when they split from the NWA back then. Buddy Rogers was the first WWF champion. Bruno's the one that took it off of him. And, just took WWF to a whole nother level. Number 3, for me, Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
No explanation needed.
Yeah,
it's freaking Hulk Hogan. 6-time WWF champion, 6-time WCW champion. He was the man. From the 80s and 90s, he was the guy.
Yeah, changed the game twice. Everyone went from red and yellow to black and white because of him. Of course, people behind him pushing buttons and pulling strings and whatever.
Oh, yeah,
But if it wasn't for his face and his ability, it wouldn't have worked.
I look at it this way. If it wasn't for, Hogan making that shift, and if it wasn't for the NWO, these guys wouldn't be here.
And
they've admitted that.
Yeah.
If there was no NWO, there wouldn't be a Bullet Club. So, you can't argue with Hogan, even with all the crap surrounding him lately. We ain't talking about that. This is not a political show. Whatever.
I was going to say something, but never mind.
Yeah, no, please.
Oh, okay.
Next for me, and this one may throw you a little bit, Lou Thesz.
Okay. I knew you were going to go old school.
The reason I put Lou Thesz on here...
Because of the press. The Lou Thesz press.
Not exactly, no.
No, I just want to be funny.
No, because he was the last guy to hold the original World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, which was the title when wrestling was an actual sport. When they didn't have the predetermined outcomes. It was before the kayfabe era. You'd go watch a match, and it could last upwards of 3 hours, and 2 hours of that might be the guys just holding a headlock or something like that, when it was an actual, guys just in the ring jockeying for positions, trying to get a hold on to finish the match.
Wow.
He was the last guy to hold that legit title before it became, the quote-unquote kayfabe era.
Mm-hmm.
And, he held that title. He held the NWA world title, and multiple times. I think he was a 5-time NWA champion. So, I had to include him just because he's the one that kind of bridged that gap from the early 20th century into the more kind of showbiz type era.
Yeah, see,
wrestling.
I knew you would come with like history and knowledge when it came to this category, and I had a hard time with this category.
I still got one more.
You do, really?
Yeah,
Holy shit, we've been talking that much about that one.
1, 2, 3.
Son of a bitch.
4. That's my last one. I know you know who this guy is. Harley Race.
Yeah. Okay.
8-time NWA World Champion. First guy ever to do that. Held it throughout the 70s and early 80s.
Didn't he have? Yeah, he came to WWF.
That was towards the end of his career. He was the King Harley Race, first King of the Ring, whatever. And but yeah, he was main evented the very first Starrcade against Ric Flair in a steel cage match. I mean, by today's standards, I'm sure a lot of younger wrestling fans will say, "This is boring." No, it was one of the greatest wrestling matches in history. So yeah, gotta throw Harley Race in there. Like I said, first ever 8-time world champion. And again, one of those guys, just his work ethic, his travel schedule was ridiculous, and the NWA promoters just had that faith in him to have him be that long-term champion for such a long time.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, man, I knew you were gonna pull shit out the bag on this one. I had a difficult time because I'm like, man, I don't want to go super old school, and so my list, of course, there's Flair.
Of course.
There's Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bruno. Now, because you mentioned this one guy, Cena.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of his run, and in the era, how wrestling has changed, and how he's stayed relevant to have that many title runs in the amount of years he's been around.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's a lot of faith they have in him.
Oh yeah.
So I give him that respect. It's like, nothing, against the old school guys. I was thinking more like modern guys who've done different things. And
I tried to keep, for the most part, it to like our lifetime. Mm-hmm. But a couple of them, I'm like, I gotta take it back a little bit more.
No, you're a historian, and I know the names you're speaking of, and I know things they've done, and yeah, like again, it wouldn't be the business it is without them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like there would be no Michael Jordan without Dr. J, but there'd be no Dr. J without, say, an Oscar Robertson, or different sports. There's no Tom Brady without Joe Montana. So yeah, I get that. But I had to throw Cena on there again just for this generation, and because he stayed the same.
Oh yeah.
He hasn't flipped. He has done nothing different. He's just been John Cena. Work ethic, go guy, and carry the company, and he gets booed, he gets cheered. And you know what? He has shown he isn't, he can wrestle.
Yeah, he can. I don't think he gets enough credit for his in-ring skills because he's got the quote-unquote 5 moves of doom.
Yeah, and it's like, but that's what people want.
Everybody has the 5 moves of doom. Everybody. Look at any wrestler champion throughout history. Hogan, big boot, body slam, leg drop.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash, elbows in the corner, sidewalk slam, snake eyes, power bomb. Exactly. Everybody's got their little signature move set.
But not everybody for 15 years has been given title runs like that. Mm-hmm. Like he constantly would be in the title picture, headlining WrestleMania, had some great matches, So I had to throw him on there. This one is going to be the weird one. It's going to be hard for me to defend after everything you said.
Okay.
CM Punk.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, especially with that, 430 some odd day title run that he had.
He had that run, and during that run, he went from a face to a heel.
Yeah.
Which
you rarely see that, and then see the guy hold on to the title very long after the turn.
Yes, I mean that was something that stuck out to me as I was thinking about this topic. I'm like, he went from a face to a heel, and he held the title.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as I think about the era, his pipe bomb, and just the different level of reality that he was bringing to it at the mm-hmm. time, I just thought it was cool. And yeah, maybe he's not probably top 5 all time, but I put him in there just because to me he was relevant. And he did something, again, like he went from face to heel and kept the freaking belt.
Yeah, and like I said, that long title run he had, I mean, that was the longest run in the past 25 years.
Yeah.
Nobody had held a title for over a year like that. So.
Yeah, not even Cena. That's what I'm saying. That's why I threw him in there, and it's Chicago. So yeah, interesting. Cool.
That was World Champ. Looks like we got 2 categories left. So
we got belts and Never World Champion.
I'm gonna say let's go with belts.
Okay, we're gonna do belts. I definitely hope we get a chance to get to Never World Champion.
Oh yeah, we will.
All right, belts. So that's on you, sir.
All right. So first one on my list, the probably the most popular WWE belt they've ever had, the Winged Eagle. Yeah, that one. The one that's on his little beer mug there.
Yes.
Yeah, that. Like I said, that's probably the most popular title. For me, most associated with like Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. Hogan held it a couple of times, but for some reason, I always more associate Hogan with the belt he had at WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3. The one he had when he fought Andre, which was the one right before the Winged Eagle.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, the Winged Eagle belt ended up. I think they were trying to transition. I think they wanted to try and transition from Hogan to other people. So we're going to create a new belt.
Right.
But they're like, Hogan's the money.
Yeah, pretty much. Next one on my list, and this one is probably most associated with Ric Flair, the big gold belt.
Yes.
It represented the WCW title until the company folded and then moved over to WWE. Chris Jericho held it at one point when he was the undisputed champion, and it still represented the WCW title at that time. And then they moved on to the single belt, and then they went back to 2 separate world titles, and they brought back the big gold belt to be the World Heavyweight Championship.
Because it's so iconic.
Yeah, so you see that belt, you know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who can, see a picture of that belt or something and be like, what's that? No, that's the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Next one for me, I don't know, this one may surprise you, the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
Like the one they have now, the one that Macho Man had, not the oval shit. I hated that belt with the purple strap. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why do you mess with perfection?
Yeah, the one that I know The Rock had or Ken Shamrock and all this and that. Yeah, no, that one, yeah.
I was never a fan of that belt, but the design they have now, I'm not fond of the white strap. I like the old school black strap on it. But yeah, the Intercontinental title is one of my favorites. Then another one. Number 4 on my list, actually I'm kind of going backwards, this is number 2 on my list, is that bad boy sitting right there, which is known as the Hogan 85. And,
dig it.
Yeah, the belt that Hogan carried into the very first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That design didn't last very long, because apparently Vince McMahon was not real fond of that design because it looked too similar to the Jim Crockett belts. That's the same plate shape as the old TV title and stuff like that, so that one did not last, and that was also the last belt that had the names of all the previous champions engraved on the side plates.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and,
I did not know that.
And also the last one for a while that had the champion's name on the front with the nameplate, because for a long time WWF didn't do that.
Yeah, no, that was
until they didn't really do that until the Undisputed Championship came around, and when they made the single belt to represent
WWE, WCW, yeah.
And, number 1 for me, this bad boy right here, 10 pounds of gold, NWA World Heavyweight Championship, right now held by Nick Aldis, but that's a belt that was held by Harley Race, by Ric Flair. I know that was the first time I ever saw it was when Ric Flair had it. Dusty Rhodes held that belt. Just a lot of, and, this actually represents, the lineage goes back to 1905. The original World Heavyweight Championships lineage was continued into the NWA. So, technically, if you want to get real technical about it, it's the same title that Frank Gotch and George Hackenschmidt held, and
Hackenschmidt.
Yes. So that's my 5. That is my favorite.
That's super awesome. I can't. Again, I knew we'd end up having very similar things. Of course, I got the Eagle belt on my list. Again, I haven't gone through like I'm saying this is my number 1, this is my number. I'm just saying I just list. I picked up 5. Eagle belt, WCW belt. Again, the gold. You can't mess with that. Holy shit!
And that is the doorbell. So we're gonna take a pause for the.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think I left off on WCW belt, the big gold belt.
Mm-hmm.
I also had the IC belt.
Okay.
But I had it multicolor. I love the fact when they had the
like when the Warrior had it, when you come out with the yellow strap and
the sky blue, or even now I like the white strap, even the classic black. But IC belt again, yeah. Like, why would you mess with perfection? That belt is.
Yeah, that's why I was so happy when they went back to the old design when Cody Rhodes had that belt.
Yeah, I think that was superb. That belt, they should never change that. Just leave it be. These next two, again, this one's my feeling, is the WCW belt spray painted with NWO.
Ah, okay.
When they did that, it showed such a disrespect to it. But it was so cool because you're like, wait, what did they just put spray paint on that belt?
Yeah, it's just, I remember, I know you were an NWO fan. I was on the other side of that one. I hated the original NWO at the time. I was like, what the hell are they doing? You can't, that's the world title and they're spray painting it.
Yeah, and that was like so phenomenal to me, the fact that you can go online and buy a spray painted belt. And to me, like, what it signified for the era and the change, and the fact that it was Hogan doing it was, like, I think added to it, to the aura, right? Am I saying that word right?
Yeah.
Of the NWO. That they disrespected something that is world renowned, knowing what the hell that stood for, and then they just put the NWO all over it. I was like, man, that is so cool. So it's the same belt, but different.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then, for my other belt, I think it was very underused, is the Undisputed title.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of that belt. I liked that design a lot.
I thought it looked cool. I mean, it kind of harkened back to this slightly, if you look at it. It's got a little bit of, it's just the black, the gold, the design. But the fact that they unified the two belts and made an Undisputed belt. That's the only time there was ever an Undisputed belt. When it came to, well, to my knowledge, the WWE, which is, of course, the biggest wrestling company in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So for them to say something, this is an undisputed world heavyweight champion, and they used it for, like, I think 9 months.
Yeah.
It was barely around, and it was like, they could have ran with that a little bit more.
Yeah, Brock had it because he was the one that had it, and then it was during the brand split. He said, well, I'm only going to wrestle on Smackdown now. That's when they brought back the World Heavyweight title with Triple H on Raw.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, Brock still carried that same belt, but it wasn't undisputed anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I want it to be undisputed. That's what I think about it.
And then when Cena won it, of course, that's when they changed it to the crap sack spinner belt.
So ridiculous.
But at the time, it was cool. The spinner belt was cool when they first brought it out.
You know what? I got to be honest. I liked when he had the U.S. title spinner belt.
Yeah, that I thought was cool too. But they kept that damn spinner belt for, 12 years?
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody had this. Everyone had the spinner belt. Edge wore it.
I mean, CM Punk hated lugging that thing around.
Yeah, I mean, it was just ridiculous. I don't want to say it's the worst belt ever, but it's pretty damn close.
Oh, I'll say that was the worst belt ever. I mean, just damn.
Yeah, it was not good. But yeah, the Undisputed belt as the title, I felt should have got a little more.
Yeah, I always thought the spinner belt should have been strictly John Cena's belt. Like when he lost the title, they should have went back to the Undisputed belt. Or
something. And just like they did, like Rock had his belt, Austin had his belt. Mm-hmm. That's cool. They want to do stuff like that, but yeah, the spinner belt just.
Yeah. That's your 5?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. So then I guess all we got left here is top 5 to never hold the World Heavyweight Championship.
This should get interesting, folks.
All right.
Because one of them's me.
Yes.
Sorry.
Who's going first here?
That would be me, I guess, because, you did the belts.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to go with one I think we both have. I'm going to say Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes. Absolutely.
In the 80s there, if WWF wasn't so hung up on Hogan, a feud with him and Hogan, and him like catching Hogan with a DDT outside the ring and rolling him in and getting a pin.
Oh yeah, that was.
Or something like that, like a dirty pin, so Hogan doesn't actually lose. Legit, like he hit him outside.
Yeah, like Hogan still looks strong, but
Yeah. Oh man, Jake, and then his mic skills, and then running around with the, with the python and I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome, and he was deserving. I mean, of course, he had a problem. But
yeah, and I think that's probably why he never was, because like we were talking about before, that the promotion, the owners, whatever, they have to be able to count on you. You have to be not just over with the crowd. You got to be able to go out there night after night after night reliably.
Yeah, and Jake wasn't at the time, but great performer. He's inspired a lot of people in the ring, outside the ring, with his resurgence in life. So,
oh yeah,
big ups to Jake the Snake. Another person with problems, Scott Hall.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Had the charisma, had the in-skill ring, had mic skills. Could have been. Before the switch to WCW, him feuding with Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels or even Kevin Nash as Diesel. Yeah. Any of that, it would have worked. Those four guys could have passed that title around between the four of them for years.
Yeah, I mean, he had it. It's a damn shame he never got it.
Mm-hmm.
And even in WCW, like when they had the NWO split and Nash was champion,
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of title matches in WCW, ended up getting screwed out of it or whatever, but
yeah, he never got the strap. So that's another sentimental guy. Owen Hart.
Now, see, I thought about putting him on my list. I didn't, just because he didn't get to have his full career. Because there is no doubt, Triple H has even said, I think Vince McMahon probably has even acknowledged, he would have been world champion had he not passed away. He would have been world champion within the year.
Yeah.
So I put him down as an honorable mention on my list, because I think, honest to God, had he not, had that accident not happened, he would have had that belt.
Yeah, I mean, that I think so. I definitely think there might have been an angle they could have put him on here a little early. Give him a little run just to test the waters.
Yeah.
Because you knew he was good in the ring. On the mic, I am not a nugget. Yeah. He was that heel. So, just out of respect, I think he definitely could have had it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else, Kurt Hennig.
I hate to correct you.
Mm-hmm.
He was a world champion.
Where?
In the AWA.
See, I knew I'd get caught up.
I almost put him on mine. I'm like, oh no, wait a minute, he was champion in AWA.
So he was world champion for AWA.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yep, that was before
the encyclopedia.
That was before his WWE run, long before he was in WCW. But yeah,
but I remember him
before he was Mr. Perfect.
Well, yeah, I remember him tag teaming with Scott Hall.
Yeah, they were the AWA tag team champions.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know he was a singles champion before that. Well, hot damn. Well then, let me think of somebody else off. I can't think off the top of the head. But the other person I had on the list who, God, I hope I don't get shot down on this one, is Arn Anderson.
Yeah. No, he was never an individual world champ.
Okay, thank God. Because could you imagine in even 80s NWA, WCW, whatever, he's at a match protecting Ric Flair's back.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks out. Flair still retains the title. What do? Arn flips on him, and it's Arn Anderson versus Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, they couldn't do that because the Horsemen were too hot.
I know, but at any point, even it's just that would be amazing.
Arn Anderson all around is one of the best ever. His promos were ridiculously good. He didn't have to be the screaming, yelling guy. He could get in there and say what he needed to say and make you believe it without getting all animated and shit like that. And
you know what it is? He's Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
He never got the limelight he deserved, because Arn Anderson, I think, could have been, not that he isn't, but because he was a Four Horseman with Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
And being in there with Flair. If it was Four Horsemen and it wasn't Flair at the top,
oh yeah,
Arn Anderson would have took the reins. You said,
even today, Arn Anderson, he's a producer for WWE. Still putting matches together and all that kind of shit. And he's one of the best.
Yeah,
I cannot disagree with that at all.
It's just funny to me that I think about his matches, he such a great in-ring performer, and like you said, he got on a mic, boom, laid it out there, and I could just envision.
I mean, he's the one that coined the phrase Four Horsemen for him and Flair and Blanchard and Ole Anderson.
Yeah. And his Spinebuster was phenomenal.
Oh, God, yeah. That was another one I considered putting on my list of finishers. I love the Spinebuster.
Yeah,
And that's another one. There's a few guys that have a really good Spinebuster now. Triple H has a ridiculous Spinebuster.
Yeah, he's learned well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he probably learned it straight from Arn Anderson.
Yeah, I wouldn't fucking doubt it, you know?
All right, so my top 5, never been world champion. We got some similarities here. Scott Hall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jake. Got Arn Anderson on my list. Well, I'm kind of surprised you didn't throw this guy in there. Roddy Piper.
Because I couldn't remember correctly, but I'm like, didn't he technically win in WCW?
No, he was never officially world champion.
I thought he was. That's why I wasn't.
He had the belt at one point, but he had taken it from Hogan.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I couldn't remember my history, so I was like, I don't want to put Piper on there, and instead I put Kurt Hennig, and he won one, son of a bitch.
And then, like I said, I put Owen Hart in parentheses as an honorable mention because I firmly believe he would have been champion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, had his career not got cut short. But my last guy, this one I think is gonna throw you a little bit. Dustin Rhodes.
Really?
Yeah, Goldust.
Goldust.
Look at how long this guy has been in the game. Started when he was a kid in WCW as the natural Dustin Rhodes, and went through there. He was held the U.S. title and tag titles. I think he was TV champ. Never world champion. Went to WWE. He was Intercontinental champion and tag champion and all this stuff. Never world champion. Went back to WCW. Was never world champion. Went to TNA for a little while. Never world champion. Still going today.
Yeah.
And I think when he first started in the business, he got a lot of crap, and I don't think he was ever given the credit he deserves because he's Dusty's son. And I think he got a lot of that. Oh, he's just getting pushed because he's Dusty's kid, and Dusty was the booker for WCW for so long, and shit like that. But honestly, go back and watch some of his old matches. Watch the progression in his career. He's good. He's very good.
I can't fault you on there. I always felt that he was a very good in-ring performer. Of course, Goldust persona has always been a little, especially when he first, in the early 90s there, 93, 94, it was extreme. It was like, whoa, what is this guy?
Yeah, well, he was the start of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I mean.
He was.
But yeah, he still is like, I'd still watch his matches because he would put on a freaking performance.
Yeah.
The guy can wrestle. So yeah, I never really thought about him, and I guess that's the thing. It's like, hell, I even think it's just Dusty's son. He puts on a great show, but it's like I never took him serious, I guess. So
yeah,
as a fan,
And I mean, I don't think the Goldust gimmick helped with that as far as being taken seriously. That's the thing. You don't see gimmick guys like that winning the top title anymore.
No, even back in the early mid-90s there when he was there, was he going to go over Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not going to put the belt on him. So it was the gimmick that held him back.
But I think when he left WWE and went to WCW during the Bischoff-Russo era in there, believably, I mean, he was back as Dustin Rhodes, not some gimmick. I think he could have had a good run with the world title there.
Considering what they did at the end of WCW there.
Yeah, I mean, because that was at the time Jeff Jarrett was coming up. I mean, not coming up, but coming up in WCW. He had also just left WWE, and he was the quote-unquote chosen one, and he was about to have his first title run, and stuff like that. He could have had a good run there as world champion. He just never got the opportunity.
No, that might have helped the company if they had him against a Jeff Jarrett at the time, against DDP for the title,
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll never know.
Right.
And I doubt, no offense, Goldust, that you're ever getting a title run.
Yeah, probably not now. Definitely be in the Hall of Fame one day, but I'm not seeing him as Universal Champion anytime soon.
No, next Universal Champion's going to be tonight, I think. I guess.
I'm calling it right now, Strowman.
Yeah, you know what? Brock.
Yeah, God, I hope not.
I know, I think they're shooting for him having this title and hopefully winning the UFC title.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because supposedly he had a meeting with Vince McMahon earlier in the week, and trying to work out details to work for WWE and UFC at the same time.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna.
I mean, I know Vince wants to see him walk into the UFC, into the octagon, carrying the Universal title.
And that's just.
See, I don't know if Dana White would allow that.
Well, no,
that's my whole thing.
Because everyone knows this is.
I mean, Dana White craps on pro wrestling so much, he's going to let one of his top guys walk in there holding a wrestling belt?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I can't see that happening, but hey, weirder shit has happened, so who knows?
Yes, this is life.
But, so yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got. We've gone through all of our lists here, top fives. That was, yeah, man, that was fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, I haven't done it in a while. It's been good.
And just for the record, top 5 baby faces of all time: Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Sting, Steve Austin, and Bruno Sammartino.
Cena.
And possibly Ricky Steamboat. Well, think about it. Ricky Steamboat was a babyface his entire career. Never once had a turn. Ever.
That is true.
World champion a few times in the NWA. I mean, come on. It's Ricky Steamboat, man. He came back and wrestled at WrestleMania when he's in his 50s.
I know, against Jericho, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And made it a believable match. Like, the rest of the guys that are in there with him, Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper, I mean, I love them, but damn. But Steamboat could still go.
Yeah, he could still make a clothesline look decent.
He could still hit that big arm drag he always had, the body block off the top rope, the flying cross body. Yeah.
Oh,
but anyway,
man.
So I think it's time to wrap this up here. SummerSlam is just starting, so yeah, hope you guys like it. If you got any ideas of who you think should be top 5 in any of these categories, hey, drop me a message, leave some comments, whatever. So yeah, I'll be finishing this show up sometime later on in the week, and it'll be posted a week from today, whatever that is, the August 26th. So yeah, hope everybody enjoyed. Talk to you guys soon.
Deuces.